The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was built to inspire awe. It floated at the center of the Nabora system, a shining structure of crystal towers and energy rings, big enough to hold thousands of delegates from across the galaxy. Every seat was taken, from insectoid queens to scaled reptilian monarchs, from machine intelligences to cloud-like gas beings. All were present. They had gathered to discuss one topic that had shaken the galaxy for decades: Earth. For years, reports had trickled in about humans. Traders spoke of their rapid growth. Explorers told stories of their resilience, and mercenaries whispered of their strange, dangerous courage. Many civilizations dismissed humans as just another young species struggling to survive, but others saw the warning signs. The Council's chancellor, a tall avian creature with feathers of silver, opened the meeting. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Delegates, the time has come to decide. Humanity has spread beyond their homeworld. They reach into the stars. Their weapons are crude, but their progress is alarming. They are reckless, stubborn, and unpredictable. We must decide whether Earth will be allowed to grow." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. The word allowed carried weight. In the galaxy, the Council did not merely observe, it controlled. A delegate from the Zyran Dominion, a massive insectoid empire, raised her mandibles and clicked. "I vote for immediate invasion. The humans multiply too quickly. Their wars show their true nature. They will become a plague upon us all if left unchecked." A machine intelligence from the Macon Collective followed. Its voice was cold, emotionless. "Humans are dangerous. They learn at rates exceeding all predictions. Containment is logical. Termination efficient." Others joined in agreement. The reptilian Star Empire spoke of human aggression. The Cathari swarm hissed about human stubbornness. One by one, voices called for invasion, yet not all agreed. From a small platform near the chamber's edge, a thin, crystalline being pulsed with faint light. This was Delegate Rhinal of the Zairi, a peaceful and ancient race. "Council members," Rhinal said, his voice like wind through glass, "I urge caution. Humans are not what you believe. Yes, they fight. Yes, they are stubborn, but I have studied them. They are also kind. They form bonds across species. They build trust quickly. They adapt, yes, but not only to war. They adapt to friendship." Some delegates laughed. The insectoid queen clacked her mandibles again. "Friendship, kindness? These are weaknesses. In war, such things mean nothing." Rhinal's light dimmed in sorrow. "You misunderstand. For humans, kindness is not weakness. It is choice. They choose to care even when it costs them. And when they fight not for conquest, but for those they love. That makes them strong in ways you do not see." But Rhinal's words were drowned out by louder voices. The Chancellor spread his silver wings. "Order, order!" "The debate is concluded. We move to vote." A great holographic screen filled the chamber. One by one, civilizations cast their decision. Green light for invasion, red for restraint, green. Green. Green, it spread like wildfire. The major powers all voted for invasion. Only a handful of red lights shone in the sea of green. Rhinal's platform glowed red, but he stood almost alone. The screen tallied the results. Invasion approved. Overwhelming majority. A cheer erupted from many factions. Others remained silent, but the decision was final. The Council had spoken. Humanity's fate was sealed. The Chancellor's voice boomed again. "Then it is decided. A fleet will be assembled. Earth will be brought under Council rule. Its weapons dismantled, its people pacified. The human problem will be solved before it grows into a threat." The chamber thundered with approval, but far from the Council Hall on the distant blue planet called Earth, no one yet knew what had been decided. Humanity went about its daily life working, dreaming, struggling, and hoping, unaware that across the stars, thousands of civilizations had just voted to destroy them. The first fleet departed within weeks. Thousands of ships from different species joined together, forming a coalition force unlike any seen in centuries. They carried weapons capable of reducing continents to ash, and shields said to withstand any bombardment. The commanders of the fleet were confident. "This will be swift," said Admiral Kothar of the Star Empire, as his reptilian eyes scanned the fleet's massive formation. One world against thousands of ships. Earth will fall before it even understands what is happening. "Indeed," replied a machine commander from the collective. "Humans will have no chance to adapt. This will end before it begins. But others were uneasy. Some junior officers had read scattered reports from mercenaries who had fought humans in border skirmishes. Those reports spoke of soldiers who would not surrender even when outnumbered, who would fight with broken weapons, who would charge enemy lines with nothing but knives or bare hands. Such reports were often dismissed as exaggerations. After all, no primitive species could truly threaten the Council's combined might. Yet, deep inside, a few commanders wondered if the vote had been too hasty. Back in the Council, Rinal's light pulsed faintly. He had not left the chamber after the vote. Instead, he stood alone, watching the stars beyond the crystal walls. He whispered softly to himself, though no one was near enough to listen. You do not understand them. You think of them as beasts to be caged, but you have made a grave mistake. You do not know what you have unleashed. Rinal thought of the humans he had met, miners who worked in deadly environments yet shared food with strangers, children who laughed in the ruins of war, soldiers who shielded allies with their own bodies. He had seen something in them no data could measure. Hope. And now, that hope would be tested. As the fleets gathered speed toward Earth, word spread across the galaxy. Merchants whispered of the Council's boldness. Pirates grinned at the thought of chaos to exploit. Small civilizations bowed in silence, fearing to speak against the Council's will. But in hidden corners, some races watched with unease. They remembered old proverbs: never corner a predator, never provoke what you do not understand. And humans, many feared, were the greatest unknown of all. The Council itself relaxed. The vote had passed. Their fleets were unstoppable. To them, it was already decided. Earth would fall and the galaxy would remain safe. But in the silence of the hall, Rinal's faint crystal glow remained, flickering like a candle in the wind. He knew the Council's complacency was about to shatter, for humanity was not prey. They were something else entirely. The alien invasion fleet entered the Sol system with full confidence. Thousands of ships spread out like a dark wave of steel and light, their engines glowing against the black of space. Commanders from dozens of species issued orders, their voices sharp with pride. For them, this was not a war. It was an operation. Earth was a target, nothing more. Admiral Kothar of the Star Empire stood at the bridge of his flagship, a massive vessel bristling with plasma cannons. His slit eyes glowed with satisfaction as Earth came into view, a small blue world circling a yellow star. There it is, he hissed. The cradle of these humans. Soon it will be under Council rule. His officers bowed. None doubted victory. After all, the fleet had crushed civilizations far more advanced than Earth. Humans were only beginning their journey into space. But as the fleet drew closer, something strange happened. The unexpected resistance Earth did not remain silent. Defense satellites powered up, their signals flashing like warning beacons across the void. Orbital stations came online, their weapons charged and ready, and then came the human fleet. To the aliens, it was laughable at first. Small warships made by different nations, some still painted with flags and symbols of Earth's divided governments. Their technology looked crude compared to Council vessels, their hulls patched together with alloys not even considered advanced in galactic terms, yet the humans moved with purpose. They did not scatter in fear. They formed ranks, their fleets merging together in tight formation. For the first time in history, Earth's nations had set aside their rivalries and stood together. On the bridge of a human ship, Captain Elena Ramirez gave a sharp order. All ships, hold the line. Remember, this is our world. No one else will defend it for us. Her crew, a mix of men and women from many countries, nodded with grim determination. They all knew the odds. But surrender was not in their minds. The battle begins. The alien fleet opened fire first. Brilliant streams of plasma lit up the void, tearing toward the human defenses. Explosions blossomed across the darkness as satellites were shattered and stations ripped apart. Yet the humans did not break. They returned fire with missiles, railguns, and energy beams, their weapons crude but deadly in their own way. One alien ship laughed at the missiles, boasting of its shields, but then the missiles split apart mid-flight, releasing dozens of smaller warheads. They swarmed like angry insects, overwhelming the shields and detonating against the hull. The alien commander's laughter turned to screams as his vessel broke apart. Admiral Kothar narrowed his eyes. Unconventional tactics, he growled. Annoying, but they cannot win. But the humans kept surprising them. A group of smaller human ships deliberately broke formation and charged straight into the alien line. Alien commanders mocked the move as reckless. But then the human ships launched electronic warfare, jamming signals, scrambling targeting systems, even hacking into alien comms. Confusion spread through the fleet. Alien ships turned their guns on one another by mistake. The Council fleet expected panic. Instead, they faced chaos of their own making. Ground invasion, believing orbital victory was inevitable. The Council began landing troops on Earth. Dropships rained down through the atmosphere, carrying soldiers from countless species. They targeted major cities, expecting the humans to surrender once their capitals fell. But they had underestimated human spirit. In New York, alien troops marched through the streets, their towering armored forms terrifying to behold. Yet civilians did not run forever. They armed themselves with whatever they could find: homemade explosives, rifles, even stolen alien weapons from fallen enemies. One alien commander reported back in shock. These humans, they refuse to surrender. Even unarmed civilians fight with knives and stones. They attack our patrols from shadows. They are everywhere. In the mountains of Afghanistan, resistance fighters ambushed alien convoys with hit-and-run strikes. In South America, whole villages vanished into jungles, attacking from hidden camps. In Africa, militias and armies worked side by side, using their knowledge of terrain to bleed the invaders dry. The Council forces had fought many species before. Most surrendered quickly when faced with overwhelming power. But the humans? They fought like demons, never giving up, never giving in. Fear in the Council fleet reports flooded back to the flagship. Alien commanders argued in panic. Their weapons are weak, but their tactics, they are unpredictable. We cannot hold the cities. Casualties rising. Admiral Kothar slammed his claws against the table. Silence. They are primitives. They will break eventually, but even he felt doubt. On his screens, he saw human ships that should have been destroyed still fighting, their hulls torn open, smoke pouring into space, yet their cannons firing until the very last second. He saw soldiers who, when surrounded, detonated explosives to take invaders with them. This was not normal behavior. This was something else. They fight as if death means nothing, one alien whispered. No, corrected another. They fight because death is not what they fear. They fear losing their home. The turning point in orbit, the Council fleet pressed forward, determined to crush resistance. But humans had another surprise. Hidden on the far side of the moon, Earth had been secretly constructing massive railgun platforms, weapons powerful enough to strike at ships in high orbit. As the alien fleet advanced, the guns roared to life. Huge slugs of metal shot through space at near relativistic speeds, tearing holes in alien ships. The Council fleet reeled as vessels shattered in seconds. Admiral Kothar stared in disbelief. They should not have weapons like this. How did they build them without us knowing? Humans are resourceful, muttered one officer. They hide strength until the last moment. The battle raged on. Alien losses mounted higher than expected. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more found clever ways to strike back. For every city burned, a dozen resistance groups rose from the ashes. Reports to the Council back in the Great Hall of the Council, delegates awaited easy news of victory. Instead, grim messages arrived. Unexpected resistance. High casualties. Humans adapting rapidly. The insectoid queen hissed in annoyance. How they are primitives. The machine intelligence added coldly. Statistical models predicted 98% chance of swift conquest. Error margins must be reconsidered. Only Reinhold, the crystalline delegate, was not surprised. His light pulsed brighter. I warned you, he said softly. You thought them weak, but you do not understand them. They will never kneel so easily. The other delegates dismissed his words, but unease spread through the chamber. The bloody aftermath. The first invasion wave ended in disaster. Dozens of alien ships were destroyed. Thousands of troops killed, and Earth still stood free. The humans had not won outright, but they had not lost either. And in the galaxy, that alone was shocking. No primitive world had ever resisted the full might of the Council for this long. Admiral Kothar was forced to retreat to orbit, his fleets battered and disorganized. The humans celebrated not with cheers but with determination. They knew this was only the beginning. In underground bunkers and secret bases, engineers worked furiously on captured alien technology, already trying to understand it. Scientists studied wreckage with hungry eyes. Military leaders planned counterattacks. For humanity, survival was not enough. They wanted to fight back. The smoke of battle still lingered in Earth's orbit. Alien ships floated lifelessly against the black sky, their once proud hulls now torn and burning. Human eyes gazed from the command bridges of their battered warships, unblinking and determined. The first wave of the Council's invasion had failed. Against all predictions, humanity had survived, but survival was only the beginning. Adapting faster than expected on Earth, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly in underground and orbital facilities. Captured alien technology littered the labs, ships, weapons, communication systems, and strange devices beyond human understanding. Captain Elena Ramirez walked among the engineers on the command deck of the newly repaired flagship Liberty. Her face was smeared with soot, but her eyes burned with focus. "We need to understand their shields," she said. "If we cannot break through them, they will just keep bombing us until we are gone." An engineer, a young woman named Aisha Patel, nodded. "We already have some ideas. We can reverse engineer their energy cores and adapt our railguns to penetrate shield frequencies. We'll need more test runs, but no time," Elena interrupted. "Every day they regroup is another day they plan to invade. We strike first." Across the globe, military leaders and scientists coordinated in real time, using secure communication networks to share data. It was unprecedented. Nations that had once fought wars against each other now worked together, combining their minds, skills, and technology into a single goal: drive the invaders out and defend Earth. The counteroffensive begins weeks past. Slowly, humans rebuilt their fleets and adapted alien weapons for their own use. Railguns capable of hitting alien ships in orbit were deployed. Fighter squads armed with laser cannons were trained, and communication jammers were prepared to disrupt alien coordination. When the new fleet was ready, Admiral Kothar's forces had begun repairing their own losses. Overconfident, they believed Earth had been weakened by the first wave. They did not expect humanity to strike back. On the Bridge of Liberty, Elena studied the battle map projected in holographic blue light. "This is our chance. We hit their outer patrol fleets first. We destroy their logistics and force them to spread thin. Then we go after the bigger ships." Her officers nodded. The humans had one advantage the aliens could not predict: creativity. The first human strike. The first strike caught the Council off guard. Small human squadrons launched from hidden orbital bases, moving faster than sensors could detect. They used tactics no alien commander had ever imagined: decoys, feints, and surprise maneuvers that turned alien formations into chaos. One alien destroyer, massive and bristling with weapons, was taken out in minutes. Humans fired concentrated bursts at weak points on its hull, while simultaneously jamming its systems. The ship exploded, sending debris spinning into space. Kothar watched the holographic feed, disbelief turning into fury. "Impossible," he growled. "They should be weak. They should be easy targets." "They are not like any species we have faced," hissed his aide. "They adapt faster than predictions. Their strategy is fluid, unpredictable. They fight with intelligence, not just instinct." Kothar slammed his claw against the console. "Then we will adjust. We will crush them this time." But the humans were already several steps ahead, on the ground and in the cities. While human ships fought in orbit, Earth's surface became a battleground. Alien troops landed expecting submission, but instead faced coordinated attacks from human forces. Soldiers, militia groups, and even civilians took part in ambushes. In New York, Captain Marcus Lee led a squad of soldiers against a drop of alien troops. Using the ruined city as cover, they set traps, detonated explosives, and cut off supply lines. Alien soldiers trained for domination found themselves ambushed at every turn. They should have surrendered, one officer hissed as another building collapsed on a group of invaders. "They do not surrender," Marcus replied calmly, firing his rifle. "They fight because this is their home. You will not break them." Across the world, similar stories unfolded. From the jungles of South America to the deserts of Africa, humans struck with precision, ingenuity, and daring. Every victory inspired more resistance. Every defeat hardened them further. Alien panic. Spreads back in the Council fleet's panic began to take root. Alien officers who had expected a swift victory were now reporting staggering losses. Communications between ships became confused as humans hacked comms and disrupted targeting systems. Ships that were thought invincible fell quickly. Kothar summoned his top commanders. "We cannot keep losing like this. We must regroup." "But sir," one replied nervously, "the humans are adapting. Every time we counter one tactic, they find another. They learn from our movements, they anticipate our attacks." Kothar's tail lashed with anger. "Then we fight smarter. We cannot underestimate them again. They are primitives, yes, but dangerous primitives. Treat them as such." Even as he spoke, reports continued to pour in. Human engineers had begun retrofitting alien technology, creating ships that matched Council designs in speed and firepower. They had turned captured weapons against their creators, and in every report, the same word appeared: unpredictable. Humans take the offensive by the third week of counterattacks. Humans had taken the fight into the Council's controlled space. They attacked supply convoys, destroyed minor outposts, and freed captured planets. Every small victory became a rallying cry. Captain Elena Ramirez led a squadron of human fighters against an alien mining station used to fuel the invasion fleet. The station's shields were formidable, but the humans had studied their designs. "We hit the weak points in sync," Elena ordered. "On my mark, fire." The lasers tore through shield frequencies, striking critical nodes. The station exploded in a massive fireball. Human ships darted away before reinforcements could arrive. "Status report," Elena demanded. "All clear." "Minimal casualties," came the reply. Smiles spread across the bridge. Humanity had struck a blow not just at their enemy, but at the galaxy's perception of them. The Council's dilemma. The Great Hall of the Council received the news with disbelief. Their fleet, supposedly unstoppable, was being harassed and destroyed in space by a species they had dismissed. The insectoid queen shrieked, "They are supposed to be primitive. How can they strike so effectively?" The machine intelligence analyzed the data. Probability of humans succeeding in counter-offensive operations was calculated at 0.03%. Observed success exceeds model predictions by orders of magnitude. Renal, the Zayari delegate, glimmered faintly. "I warned you. They are unlike any species you have faced. You cannot predict them. You cannot control them. You have underestimated them." Some delegates shook with fear. Even those who had voted for invasion could not deny what was happening. Humanity was no longer just defending, they were attacking. And every victory made them stronger. The human spirit on Earth. The message spread quickly. Humans could fight back, they could win. They could survive against the mightiest powers in the galaxy. In schools, children were taught stories of battles in orbit, of cities defended by ordinary people, of soldiers who gave their lives to protect strangers. In offices and homes, adults shared strategies and ideas to help the war effort. This was not just a fight for survival. This was a fight for identity, for pride, and for the belief that humans could stand against impossible odds and win. A warning to the Galaxy Admiral Kothar sat on his command bridge, staring at the chaos on his screens. He had expected a quick victory. Instead, he faced a species that adapted faster than he could anticipate, fought harder than his warriors, and had a strategy unlike any he had encountered. "They are dangerous," he admitted quietly. "They are more than dangerous," whispered his aide. "They are unstoppable if we continue like this." And Kothar realized the truth. The Council had not merely failed to conquer Earth. They had awakened a force that would not stop until it had taken its place among the stars. Humanity was no longer a target. They were a power. The final note of Part 3. Captain Elena Ramirez watched the stars from her ship's bridge. Humanity had survived the first wave. Humanity had struck back and won victories that no one thought possible. "This is just the beginning," she said softly, almost to herself. "They wanted to destroy us. They made a mistake. They will learn. We are not theirs to conquer." The Galactic Council had never known fear. Their fleets were unmatched, their technology centuries ahead of any emerging species. Planets fell at their command. Civilizations obeyed or were destroyed. And yet Earth had changed everything. Reports of human victories continued to pour in, each one more shocking than the last. Ships that should have crushed entire cities were destroyed. Supply lines that were meant to support the invasion fleet were ambushed. Planets once taken were being liberated. Humanity was not only surviving, they were thriving. And now, the Council was panicking. The first signs of panic in the Great Hall, delegates clattered their claws, clicked their mandibles, and hummed anxiously. Screens displayed real-time data from the invasion fleets. A map of the Sol system showed human forces striking faster and harder than predicted. The insectoid queen slammed her clawed hand on the table. They are supposed to be primitives. How can they move like this? How can they fight like this? The machine intelligence calculated the odds in silence. Probability of humans maintaining offensive operations, increasing. Probability of Council victory without drastic measures, decreasing exponentially. Even Kothar's voice, usually filled with certainty and pride, trembled slightly over the comms. We cannot sustain these losses. They adapt faster than our calculations allow. They anticipate tactics before we even execute them. Rinnell, the Zayari delegate, glimmered faintly. You did not listen. I warned you. Humans are not ordinary. You cannot predict them. You cannot control them. And now your complacency is failing you. Divisions among the Council for the first time in centuries. The Council was not united. Some delegates demanded immediate reinforcements, calling for every fleet in the galaxy to converge on Earth. Others argued for negotiation, pointing out that humans might be reasoned with. You cannot reason with them, snapped the insectoid queen. They fight, they defy. They will never bow to us. Yes, said a crystalline delegate from the Andralis system. But if we attack with full force, we risk losing not only the fleet, but many other planets we already control. Humans are clever. They will draw us into traps, stretch our forces, and weaken us permanently. The machine intelligence, usually cold and calculating, broke its usual monotone. Reconsideration of strategy required. Conventional approach has failed. Humans do not behave as predicted. Unknown variables. Increasing. The Council, once calm and confident, was now in full panic mode. Human raids in Council space. Meanwhile, humans did not wait for the Council to decide what to do. The Sol system had become a launch pad for raids into Council-controlled space. Captain Elena Ramirez led a fleet toward a small trade hub used by the invaders. The humans had retrofitted captured alien ships, giving them speed and firepower comparable to the Council's vessels. This is our chance, Elena said. Hit them where they least expect it. Strike hard, then vanish. Make them question every decision. Her orders were executed with precision. Human ships darted through asteroid belts using debris as cover. They destroyed supply depots, captured alien ships, and freed enslaved populations. Every success demoralized the Council's commanders. Every report that reached the Great Hall made the delegates tremble. They are spreading faster than we anticipated, admitted one commander to Kothar. They are not just defending Earth, they are taking the fight to us. Kothar ground his teeth. Then we must strike harder. Concentrate all forces. Crush them before they consolidate their gains. The Council's miscalculation. The Council had expected humans to surrender after suffering losses. They had assumed Earth's divisions would weaken their resistance. But the opposite had happened. Humans were uniting. Old rivalries faded under the pressure of survival. National governments coordinated their fleets, engineers shared secrets, and ordinary citizens contributed in every way they could. In addition, humans had begun adapting alien technology at an alarming rate. Within weeks, weapons once thought alien-only were being mass-produced by humans. Fighters could hack Council communication systems, disable shields, and even mimic alien attack formations. This is beyond what we predicted, admitted a panicked Star officer. They are learning faster than our simulations allow. Our strategies. They are already obsolete. Rinnell's glow pulsed softly in the chamber. You ignored my warnings. You treated them as primitives. You underestimated them, and now, every choice you make will be too late. Council fleets began to falter in the outer systems. Human fleets were striking key supply lines. Council commanders began to see ships they had thought invincible destroyed by clever tactics and unexpected weapons. The insectoid queen screamed into her communicator. Reinforcements. Send reinforcements immediately. We cannot lose this war to a primitive species. But even with reinforcements, the humans adapted. They had learned to predict ambushes, counter-flanking maneuvers, and exploit weaknesses in alien formations. Every attempt to destroy human fleets ended with higher-than-expected losses. One council officer reported, "Our fleets are overstretched. Humans are controlling the pace of the war. They strike where we are weakest. They are unstoppable if we do not change strategy immediately." The room went silent. Unthinkable. The council had never faced a species it could not control. Council in chaos. The Great Hall descended into chaos. Delegates shouted, argued, and blamed one another. Some called for immediate withdrawal. Others demanded escalation. The insectoid queen accused the reptilian Thar Empire of underestimating humans. The machine intelligence suggested using planetary annihilation weapons. Rinnell, glimmering faintly, watched silently. "You have created your own enemy," he said softly. "By attacking Earth, you awakened a force you cannot contain. Humanity will not simply survive, they will dominate." Some delegates shook with fear. For the first time, they realized their complacency had cost them control over a rising power. Humans expand influence. As the council argued, humans continued to press their advantage. They liberated worlds enslaved by council forces, bringing entire civilizations into alliances. Every planet freed added resources, technology, and personnel to humanity's cause. Elena Ramirez led a mission to rescue colonies near the Orion Belt. Human ships darted through asteroid fields and past patrol fleets, using stealth, misdirection, and clever timing to avoid direct confrontation with the main fleet. They succeeded. Hundreds of thousands of colonists were freed, and several alien ships were captured and adapted for human use. The council was shocked. Humanity was no longer defending, they were building power. Panic spreads beyond the council. News of human raids and victories spread throughout the galaxy. Small civilizations began to rethink their alliances. Some who had supported the council now considered joining humanity. Others stayed neutral, fearing the unstoppable rise of a species no one had predicted. The council, once the ultimate authority, now faced political chaos. The vote to invade Earth had backfired spectacularly. Humanity had turned the tables, and every decision now risked worsening the situation. Even the insectoid queen, the staunchest advocate of Earth's destruction, admitted privately, "We underestimated them. We cannot predict them, and soon our entire control may collapse." Humans as a symbol back on Earth, the victories were celebrated not with arrogance but with resolve. Humanity knew they had won battles, but the war was far from over. Engineers worked day and night to improve ships. Soldiers trained relentlessly. Leaders coordinated strategies across the planet. Every victory became a symbol. Humans were resilient, creative, and brave. They were no longer just a target. They were a power that could change the balance of the galaxy. Elena Ramirez stood on the Bridge of Liberty, looking at the stars. Reports of freed colonies, captured ships, and destroyed alien bases filled her screen. "They thought they could crush us," she said softly. "They were wrong, and now, we decide what comes next." A council on edge in the Great Hall, the council continued to spiral into panic. Delegates whispered about humans in hushed tones, sharing rumors of victories and unpredictability. The vote to invade, "It was a mistake," said a reptilian delegate quietly. "Yes," said a Zayari observer, glimmering faintly. "And now you will all learn what happens when you awaken a species that cannot be contained." The council, once supreme, now faced a species it could not control. Their fleets, strategies, and politics were all failing against human adaptability and determination. Humanity was no longer the prey, it was a predator rising in the galaxy. The final note of Part 4A's humans pressed their advantage. The galaxy began to realize that Earth was no longer just a world to conquer. It was a beacon of resistance, ingenuity, and courage. The council had voted to invade, confident in their superiority. Now they faced the consequences. The stars were no longer silent. Humanity had begun to expand beyond Earth, and the galaxy was listening. What had started as a desperate defense against an overwhelming invasion had transformed into a full-scale counteroffensive, a surge of human ingenuity and courage that the Galactic Council could no longer ignore. The Council, once unshakable, now trembled. For the first time in history, a species they had dismissed as primitive was not only surviving, They were changing the rules of the galaxy. The turning of the tide, Captain Elena Ramirez stood on the now bridge of the flagship Liberty, staring at the star charts projected before her. Every dot of light represented a human vessel. Every line showed a route to strike Council-controlled space. "We have to keep pressure on them," Elena said to her officers. "Every attack weakens their fleets, and every liberated colony strengthens ours. This is our chance to show the galaxy what humans can do." Her officers nodded. Humans were no longer just defending Earth. They were hunting the invaders in small, precise strikes. Alien patrols that once moved freely across space were now wary, checking and double-checking every maneuver. In the outer systems, fleets of human ships launched surprise attacks, using techniques the Council could not predict. Fighters used asteroid belts for cover, railguns fired with pinpoint precision, and captured alien ships were turned against their former owners. Every success sent a message. Earth was no longer a planet to conquer. Humanity was a force to be respected. Liberation of the colonies. On planets under Council control, humans became liberators. Colonies that had lived under alien rule for decades saw human ships appear on their skies. Soldiers and engineers worked with locals to disable oppressive systems and free enslaved populations. In one colony orbiting a small sun, the humans arrived with a handful of ships, vastly outnumbered. But instead of fear, the colonists rose up. Together they overpowered Council garrisons, shutting down energy shields and communications arrays. Captain Marcus Lee led one of the landing teams. "Remember," he said to the colonists and his own crew, "we are here to free, not to conquer. Protect the people, disable the weapons, and leave governance to the locals. Humanity fights, but we do not enslave." By the time the Council realized what was happening, humans had taken control of multiple strategic systems. Their influence spread faster than anyone could predict. Council in disarray. Back in the Great Hall of the Council, panic had reached fever pitch. Delegates argued furiously, blaming one another for underestimating humans. "They adapt faster than our models," screamed the insectoid queen. "Every time we reinforce, they strike somewhere else." The machine intelligence stated coldly, "The probability of Council victory has fallen below 50%. The humans are no longer defensive. They are offensive. Our strategies are obsolete." Rinald, the Zayari delegate, glimmered softly. "I warned you. Your complacency has allowed them to rise. You did not respect them. You did not understand them. Now you face the consequences." Some delegates whispered about negotiating peace, but others shouted that negotiation was impossible. The humans were not seeking submission. They were claiming their place in the galaxy. The Council fleets retreat. As humans struck again and again, Council fleets began to falter. Supply lines were severed, reinforcements ambushed, and alien morale shattered. Ships that had once seemed invincible were destroyed in rapid, precise strikes. Admiral Kothar watched the reports with growing horror. "They are unstoppable," he muttered. "Every fleet we send against them is returned shattered or destroyed. They fight smarter, faster, stronger." Even veteran commanders were forced to admit the truth. Humanity was no longer just defending. They were changing the balance of power in the galaxy. Kothar realized that any further direct assault risked total annihilation. The Council had to rethink everything. Humanity's diplomacy. Humans did not stop at military victories. They used diplomacy to build alliances. Freed colonies and sympathetic species joined humanity, forming a coalition dedicated to resisting the Council's oppression. Captain Elena Ramirez spoke to representatives from a liberated world. "We fight for freedom," she said. "We are not conquerors. Join us, and together we can create a galaxy where no species is ruled by fear." Many civilizations responded. They shared technology, resources, and fleets. Humans were no longer a single species. They were a symbol of resistance, a spark for hope across the stars. The Council had intended to destroy humanity. Instead, they had created a unifying force, a species that inspired countless others to rise up. turning the Council against itself. With humans gaining strength, the Council's unity began to crumble. Some races, once allied with the invasion, began to question the wisdom of their vote. Others feared humanity's growing power and secretly considered negotiating peace to avoid total destruction. The insectoid queen, once the loudest voice calling for Earth's destruction, now found herself isolated. Her allies feared human retaliation if they continued to resist. Some even suggested forming alliances with humans rather than fighting them. Rinal observed quietly, his crystal glow pulsing brighter. The Council believed in control, in dominance, in the certainty of their power, he said. Humans have shown them that strength is not only in weapons, but in will, creativity, and unity. They cannot win through fear alone. The final battle for supremacy, the decisive moment, came near the outer edge of the Orion cluster. Humanity had gathered its forces, Earth's ships, captured alien vessels, and allied fleets from liberated systems. They moved as one, coordinated and fearless. Council fleets tried to block them, deploying massive warships and planetary bombardments. But humans had anticipated every move. Using superior tactics, electronic warfare, and daring maneuvers, they outflanked and destroyed the Council's forces. Captain Elena Ramirez led the final strike. Her ship, Liberty, pierced the heart of the enemy formation, disabling flagship weapons and sending the alien command into chaos. The Council fleet scattered, forced to retreat for the first time in history. The humans had won. Humanity ascends. With the Council's invasion defeated and their fleets shattered, humanity did not seek vengeance. Instead, they offered terms. Peace, Elena Ramirez declared to the surviving Council delegates. You underestimated us. You sought to destroy us. Now, you will see that humans do not seek domination, but respect. Recognize our place in the galaxy, and work with us. Oppose us, and face consequences. The Council had no choice. Their pride was shattered. Their fleets destroyed. Humanity had proven that they were no longer a primitive species to be crushed. They were a power that demanded recognition. Across liberated colonies, humans worked to rebuild, establish governance, and share technology. They formed alliances, created councils, and spread their influence. Humanity had survived an impossible threat, struck back with ingenuity, and transformed the galaxy forever. The message to the galaxy as humanity consolidated power. A message was sent to the remaining Council delegates. You voted to invade Earth. You assumed we were weak. You assumed we would fall. You were wrong. Now you will never forget humanity. We will defend what is ours. We will rise and we will lead. The galaxy belongs to all who dare to stand, and we will stand. The words spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Species who had once been oppressed began to dream of freedom. Systems under Council control began to plot resistance. Humanity's rise had inspired a galactic movement, a wave of courage that the Council could not contain. A new era begins, Captain. Elena Ramirez stood on the Bridge of Liberty, looking out at the stars. Planets had been liberated, fleets repaired, allies gained. Humanity had survived impossible odds, fought off the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and emerged victorious. This is just the beginning, she said quietly, though every officer on her bridge felt the weight of the words. We fought to survive. Now we fight to shape the galaxy. For the first time in millennia, the Council had learned humility. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through fear, but through courage, unity, and willpower. They had proven what no one had dared to believe, that a species thought weak, primitive, and insignificant could rise to become the galaxy's greatest force.